The following story is created by user Zero ValkGhost. To be inhuman does not have to be inhumane on Reddit. Captain Prax asked for another update, this time of a farther zone than usual. Le worked the controls on his console, realigned the scopes, focused the scanner, and computer filtered the area. Two small corvettes, heavily damaged, were trying to dock with each other. Le reported the enemy presence. It was added to the plotting board. More updates rolled in. More orders were given. An error reported another distress call. There's a report of a shuttlecraft having trouble in the low orbits. Information. Prax had his own mental map of the battle, and wondered which of three possibilities that was. Army. Human. The flag slummers. Damaged. Out of orbit. Landing cancelled. Drifting. Anything we can do about it? We would have to leave firing position. No, officer, we have a line of battle to stand to. Leave such matters to the patrol boats. We have a battle to win. The captain turned away dismissively. Le thought it wrong to just leave them to die. He admitted to himself that the humans were really the worst, though. Viking eating rituals in the mess hall. The profanity chant, which seemed to be more focused on volume and direction towards the other tables. They had both eating and non-eating versions. The human genitals drawn on the intership plotting board. The assaults and the crew, or what the crew thought were assaults. Nobody should be grabbed by the ears and belched in the face like that. Fortunately that had happened to the crewman at the next table to him, but Le had to admit the ship was better off without the human soldiers. Le focused his attention on the work in front of him instead of daydreaming pleasant things. Captain Prax preferred to let the gunnery crew continue their work, but he made a small adjustment to the arc of a cannon before it fired. The adjusted shot managed to scramble a smaller crab corvette's trajectory. It was then ripped apart by the Unified's line of battle. Prax continued to look busy. For the bridge camera. He knew that he could solve the matter of the dying human transport. He also knew just how many infractions, breakage, and outright sabotage that the human troopers of the something division of don't care what your authority is had caused him. Those troopers had been the ones aboard his vessel, which was why they were close enough to be on his ship's scopes. The belligerence. The threats. The injury to crew members ignored in the name of military cohesion. The death metal played on the ship intercom at our intentionally uncivilized hour. The intentional insults and disrespect that they sneered with open arms claiming what are you gonna do about it? Earth was going to be a paradise if this was the sort of person they decided should be sent out to die. Perhaps with time they could get over the childish need to venerate such vermin as the human troopers were. There was nothing wrong with a little brawn in a brawn-oriented job, but the humans' military service had completely ignored the logic behind the axiom do not antagonize someone who you may need to depend on. Prax had to expend some mental and physical effort to not smile at thought of the humans' deaths. This is your pilot speaking. Okay guys, I'm gonna need you to gather in the geographical center of the craft. If you get it wrong, you'll know. Private Billy and Private Dizzy looked up at the same time, listening to the voice on the speakers. Then the gravity dropped out from their right-facing side. The human crew began to feel the vertigo of a constant motion change. The walls began to collect the various things and objects that had not been secured. Cigarillos. Dust bunnies. A few screws. Bits of things that had been removed from other things. One well-misplaced GoPro repair kit. The Sarge nodded. Oh, right. What the hell's going on, shouted one of the troopers. Something bounced off of his dark grey-green helmet. Another unnoticeable scratch in the paint. You ever heard of a whirligig? Bunch up Marines, it's gonna get worse. Then we's gonna crash, the Sarge grinned as he scrambled over one of the slower thinking troopers. Prax turned away from another report about a damaged crab cruiser. He caught the eye of one of the board updaters. Someone get me a fresh scan of those corvettes. They aren't firing the same as the ones I remember from the briefing. And there was a report of a damaged army vessel earlier. Those infantry? Right. Let me check my notes, sir. Prax went back to the main plotting board until the information trooper got his notes put together. There was little follow-up about that, because there's a signal that the troop transport in question managed to land anyway. They report casualties. They claim to have conquered enemy territory because they managed to land their infantry ship near where a crab destroyer class vessel crashed on the surface of a planet. Non-atma bearing. A little farther out from the defense point. I see. Prax had to expend more mental and physical effort to not elaborate about it. The crewman continued reading off slices of the report, letting him know that there was a rescue shuttle headed towards it. Oh, well, then they are probably alright. The situation is handled. Show me what the wedge in 12 is heading for. Captain Prax sat in his office chair in his personal quarters. A 2-screen display was open, and he was reading the fleet's after-action reports, to fact-check his own ship's reports. A message popped up in the center of both screens. It took a second for Prax to adjust his mental categories. Must be a shipboard version idiosyncrasy. Call coming in on the captain's channel. Prax sighed, straightened, and pressed the proper dedicated button to accept. A human sat behind a desk. Black hair, black clothes, black gloves. A metallic gold badge on his chest, below the shoulder. A downward curve, cut in the middle by a line. Hello Captain. I would like to inform you of some of the after-action events that may have escaped your notice. In the chaos of battle, after all. He spoke in a calm, even friendly voice. But he said it with a sense of ice water. Mission ship troop carrier 83-7 Uetan left your ship. They took a trajectory meant to keep them out of the fighting, or at least out of shooting range. They were damaged en route, but at a location near to where they were meant to enter the envelope. They sent a distress call. If you had only answered it, sent your ship the short distance needed. Fortunately, there was a rescue shuttle still in one of the other cruisers that had been held in reserve. It was signed out for this purpose instead. Since help was not going to arrive, help would have to be sent separately. You should know that we take care of our own. You should remember that we take care of our people. Prax wanted to interject with some information on just what kind of people they were. The troop carrier managed to dock with a nearby enemy vessel, and used its air supply to augment its own until rescue could arrive. The carrier ship hull had been damaged, so they'd saved themselves by draining the life from another ship's crew. That was separate from their own actions aboard Prax's vessel. Prax found he was unable to speak. It was like when you want to reach for something but your arm won't move for a moment. The human on the screen said things in a friendly manner. Earnest. Warm. But with a sense of something lacking. Something on the bad side of Zero. Yes, we send the scum of our people out to war. Yes, you are correct. They serve no other purpose but to poison our society, one way or another. Prax got the sense of leaning in, or getting closer, despite not having moved. But they are humans. Provisionally. So we save them. What would be the point otherwise? They are the misbegotten of ourselves. We'll likely need them tomorrow. A shepherd has to be stronger than both the sheep and the wolves. But the villagers of the parable make up a third category. Someone has to look after the men we send, since you won't. Since they won't. You can't expect a room full of people to be the same as a species of people. That's bad math. Tell me, Captain Prax, have you heard anything new about the border disagreement between my government and your council? No? Oh well. I'm sure it will come to a sensible conclusion. After all, you wouldn't want to send in a military attachment. Our army isn't the best. Meant for urban combat. Tendency to wear Jean jackets. Chains. Heavy drinkers. Bikers, really. But we know where every one of your planets are. How to get to them. How to express our displeasure when the men in charge, your men in charge, decide what's ours is suddenly yours. When what's ours, our very lives, are thrown away with the carelessness of a paper towel you dried your hands with. And we know who to send when it's time to respond in the same way. And if there's not a war, perhaps an extended shore leave? The southern mountains in Karis look beautiful later in the year. Have a good day, Captain Prax. Prax found himself sitting in his chair, feeling a mix of sadness and worry. He didn't even remember having opened a new report file. Emotionally, his day was ruined, really. Only the title had been typed. Recommendation for the cancellation of Septim System, Human Territory, Annexation. The cursor blinked, waiting his input.